Hi, everybody. My name is Cynthia. I'm the CEO and founder of AbbeyPost. We are plus-size fashion that fits, made on demand. Before I jump into the presentation, I'd actually like to ask you for some real-time feedback, if you would. So I know everybody has an internet connection. You can do this on your phone or from your laptop. If you'd visit meet.ps/AbbeyPost, you can give me real-time feedback, thumbs up, thumbs down, this is boring, this is awesome. So I'd really appreciate it. Meet.ps is actually a company that pitched on the main stage earlier. So what are we doing? I already told you that we're all about plus-size fashion made to measure in real time, so on demand. There are 70 million women in the United States who wear a size 14 and up. About 60% of all women in the US are a size 14 and above. But there's a problem with that. And as you can see, I'm kind of scratching my own itch here. What I found was that it's really, really difficult for plus-size women to find attractive, well-made apparel that really fits. So what we've done is we've created a collection of beautiful, made-to-measure, on-demand apparel for the underserved plus-size shopper. Today, that woman spends $18 billion a year on apparel, but she's unhappy about it. She's kind of mad every time she puts down that credit card. So what we've done is we've applied some interesting technologies and real-time manufacturing processes to the problem. So the first of those is a webcam-based 3D body scan. What it does is it works from your browser. It's completely hardware independent. You simply grant access to your webcam, and we collect 115 data points from just a couple of images. So I'm going to show you that in a second. But we're also innovating around manufacturing. So we've developed some proprietary algorithms that can create and grade patterns directly in a CAD system. And then as we begin to scale, we're going to be using those CAD patterns to actually mechanically cut the clothes, specifically for that individual consumer. That gives us about a 30% increase in efficiency, lowering the time it takes to make each garment, and also about a 27% increase in gross profit margin. So here's the demo video. I'm going to just walk you through it. This is our beta site. We're actually launching April 1st. So this is a private beta site. And this is our product selection, and I apologize that that's a little stretched out on this aspect ratio. But as you can see, so the shopper is looking through the catalog. She finds a dress that she likes. She clicks on the product page, right? So instead of it saying size 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, what it actually says is size made to measure. So all of our garments are made specifically for that consumer at the time of purchase. So here you can see that she clicked on made to measure, and she's going to click the start button. And by she, I actually mean me, because this is me in the video. What happens is I entered my weight. I mean, certainly not my weight. I entered my height in that little box up there. I granted permission to the webcam, and that's me. As long as I get my body, basically my head and my feet inside the outline on the screen, then it's going to be able to use my height to extrapolate my measurements from these 2D images, right? So just confirming that the images are basically in the right place. And the software takes a few seconds to process. And as soon as it does, the measurements actually appear here on the product page. The consumer is thrilled. She adds that to the cart. And the measurements are also reflected there in the shopping cart. But that's what the consumer sees for the sake of simplicity. Meanwhile, what we've actually done is collect 115 really incredibly detailed measurements. They include things like shoulder to shoulder, your bicep circumference, your inseam measurement, the distance from your knee to the ground. All of these things are really incredibly important when you're creating a made-to-measure garment. They give us a significant amount of data about that user. And obviously, we're creating a huge data store. So at scale, we're going to have, hopefully, millions and millions of people's measurements and be able to see some trends, which could be very valuable for other retailers or for municipalities, all sorts of uses for that data. So we ran our first beta test in December going into January. The results were pretty awesome. Our effective NPS score was 89, which, take that, Apple. We were pretty happy with that. 85% of our beta testers said they would purchase again. 89% would tell a friend. And 75% said they'd pay a premium for made to measure. The good news is that we are manufacturing entirely in the United States, so everything is ethically produced. That allows us to very carefully control quality as far as, in addition to speed of delivery to the consumer. So we're able to deliver in under 2 weeks from the time of order at department store prices. Our line is priced from $95 to $185. So it's really equivalent to what you would pay at like Banana Republic or a department store. We're currently raising around $1 million for hiring, customer acquisition, and completing our vertical integration so that we do control that process from the start to the finish. And a little bit about our team. As I mentioned, I'm Cynthia. I'm a second-time e-commerce entrepreneur. I previously built the world's largest consignor of Birkin bags, which was kind of a fun business. So I ran that company for 6 years, sold it successfully in 2008, and now here I am. My co-founder and CTO is Lex. He's a full-stack developer with significant e-commerce experience as well. He built Scotch and Soda's website. He built all of the back-end systems for Manuel Racine, which is a custom shirt maker, as well as all their virtualization and mass customization technologies. And then on the production side, we have Cassandra, who's our VP of production. Cassandra has about 20 years of experience in pattern making, fashion design, and manufacture. She actually owns the factory where we are producing our garments. And excuse me, for the last 4 years, she's done exclusively made-to-measure for plus size. So our patterns are completely vetted. We know that the product is rock solid, and our customer feedback is proving that for us, so we're excited. We are hiring. We're looking for growth hackers, as everybody else is, web designers, visual merchandisers, and some support staff. We're located in New York City. We're at the 500 Startups co-working space, which is a really fun place to work. Free yogurt and foosball, which is fun. And that is it for today. So does anybody have any questions?
This is okay with Sam.
Great presentation. Two-part question. First, can you talk about the competitive landscape? So obviously it's a multi-billion-dollar market. Talk about who else is out there. And then can you also share your margins? So when I think about customized, made-to-measure, I think about low margin. But can you talk about your gross margins for the business as well?
Sure. Thanks for those questions. First of all, competition. So it's really interesting. There's very little competition in the made-to-measure space for women today. We've all heard about, Bonobos, who does sort of semi-custom. We all know about Jay Hilburn, who's raised $1 bajillion to do custom shirts for men. But women actually spend 85 cents out of every dollar in this country, and there's very little for women in this market. Our primary competitor doing made-to-measure for women is a company called eShakti. They produce their items overseas. They're really targeting a younger, sort of more fashion-forward consumer, as opposed to the Pinterest mom, which is really our market. She's richer. She is looking for better quality, and she's willing to pay for it. So they're our primary competitor. And your second question was about margins. Today, our margins are about 61% gross profit margin. As we complete our vertical integration process, those margins will increase to above 80%.
Questions? I saw some hands.
Could you give an example of the price of your products and what you think the differential is between that and what she's already buying?
I'm sorry, I only heard part of the question.
Woo!
That's okay.
Price of the products.
Oh, yeah. So our products are priced from $95 to $185 for the initial launch. And that range basically just reflects fabric costs. Like, for instance, the dress I'm wearing is, it takes a significant amount of fabric, not just because of my size, but also because draping here, the flowy skirt, things like that. So $95 to $185, roughly what you would spend in Banana Republic for a dress that was made for somebody who's not you.
Hi, what's your strategy for user acquisition?
Great question, thank you. So we have currently been utilizing both blogger channels. So there are plus-size fashion bloggers who have millions of followers. There are also sort of mommy and lifestyle bloggers who are a great acquisition channel for us. They've been very, very successful in helping us acquire users at very low cost. We're also really active on social. And across our various social platforms, we have about 30,000 fans and followers already, which is awesome because we're pre-launch. And obviously, we're experimenting with paid acquisition models as well. We're finding that Facebook ads convert very, very well for us. You guys know that Facebook Insights graph where it says when are your consumers online? Ours is like flat. The answer is all day, every day. These women are on Facebook, so that's awesome news for us. Our CPA on Facebook is incredibly low.
I've seen that some department stores are using the Xbox Connect. How is your technology different, and is it more accurate or?
Yeah, fantastic question. I'm really actually thrilled that you asked that. The big difference is that our consumer doesn't have to go anywhere. She's in front of her own laptop in the privacy of her own home with nobody looking at her as she's getting scanned. So, we're initially targeting the plus size market. And these are people who may or may not have a great deal of body confidence. It's kind of uncomfortable to go into a department store and wear close-fitting clothing so that you can get a body scan using Kinect scanners, even though they're very accurate and they're pretty good. You still have to go somewhere and do it, and then you have to sort of put yourself through that process, and then that data has to be ported to somewhere in order to be used. In our case, you're sitting in your house, it's in front of your browser, you can do it over and over again if you're not happy with the results, or you could do something else if you're not happy with the results. But that's the primary difference. In terms of accuracy of our technology, the technology that we're using today is accurate to within about 8 millimeters. So highly, highly accurate.
Questions? You said that, I'm sorry I missed part of it, but you said that your model is based on the people who make the clothing are based overseas? Is that correct?
No. We're a vertically integrated manufacturer, so it's all produced here in America. Everything is produced domestically.
Okay.
It helps us with speed to the consumer. It also helps us control quality. Our competitors' products are made in India.
Okay. Yeah. I had custom clothing made overseas, and it was great, so I was just going to give a shout out
so
for
like
that,
if you go to
that was the
Hong
case.
Kong or someplace like that, a lot of consumers are familiar with that. You can get clothing made to measure, and it's very reasonably priced.
Right.
But you physically have to be there for somebody to measure you, right?
Exactly.
So,
I was in Vietnam when I got mine.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's fun. That was part of the inspiration behind this, actually, was time I had spent in Asia previously.
Hi, sorry to get you another time.
No, go ahead.
So what's your strategy for long-term growth? Are you guys partnering with boutique brands and do some cross-branding or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a cool question. So, what I didn't mention in this presentation was that we spent the first year of our existence as a company doing customer discovery in the form of a marketplace. So the first year of our business, we had created a marketplace that was aggregating indie boutiques, indie designers, and small manufacturers who didn't have wide-scale distribution. That allowed us to acquire customers very inexpensively, because obviously these brands were out there socializing that their AbbeyPost store, right? But it also helped us create relationships with these designers. So now we have a handful of designers who are well-known in the plus-size market already, and they have great audiences. So we're looking forward to things like Kabiria for AbbeyPost. Kabiria is the first plus-size fashion designer to ever be invited to show under the tents at New York Fashion Week, which is like a huge, huge deal. We have an amazing relationship with her, and so that's one of our plans in the future, is to have sort of Kabiria for AbbeyPost, where we take her aesthetic and sort of plug it into our processes and create Kabiria-inspired designs.
Hi.
Hi.
Before I launch my question, I would like to give you a bit of background. Most of my clothes I do, I have a tailor back in Colombia, where I'm from, he does my clothes. And a few months ago, I was significantly more overweight. And then when I realized the risk I was running for diabetes and heart attack and so on, I decided to start a training program. And I decreased my weight significantly, but then my problem was that my clothes were all baggy, and I didn't have enough time to go back to the tailor. But eventually, over Christmas, I was able to go back and have all my clothes redone. So my question to you is twofold. First of all, you're targeting a demographic that has significant health risks. How do you promote their good, which is to decrease weight? And secondly, if you do that, how can you help them refashion their clothes?
So that's not a loaded question at all. Thank you. My business is all about making people feel great about who and what they are. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to tell you to lose weight, gain weight, be something you're not, right? There are plenty of places for women and men to go and be judged for their choices or their weight or their appearance. That place is not AbbeyPost. So we've actually made a pretty strong commitment to avoid any sort of, weight loss or that kind of partnership. There are lots and lots of resources out there. If that's what somebody is motivated to do, that's awesome and good for them. What we're doing is taking a look at the reality of our culture, in which 60% of women are wearing a size 14 and up. Now, I also want to make a point, by the way, that a size 14 does not mean you're obese or medically overweight, right? There are lots of body shapes and there are lots of body sizes. Some people are just naturally larger than other people. And so I hope that answers your question, that we're really not planning to embark on any sort of, initiatives to change who people are. We love them the way they are, and we want them to love themselves the way they are. And you know what? If they lose some weight, awesome, come back and buy some more stuff. We're focused on the plus size market initially because it is the most underserved and neglected market. But the truth of the matter is women especially come in all shapes and sizes. And so if you're tall, this technology works great for you. If you're really short, like me, this technology works really great for you. At any weight, at any size.
Other questions?
And thanks for the applause.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Cynthia, it's Gina over here.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, it's just me hiding in plain sight. Is that on your roadmap? Ultimately, would you like to see AbbeyPost be kind of this affordable, quality, custom clothing for any consumer, or you think you're really...
It is already.
Yeah.
So that is what we deliver today. So you don't have to be plus size. You don't have to be, any sort of special size at all to use our technology. Remember that we're making to measure. So if you're a size 6, you're more than welcome to come if you like our styles and be an AbbeyPost customer. But again, we're really focused on the plus size market initially because it's just underserved.
And tell me, you've talked to me a little bit before about how you have some human validation just in case of extreme error, and you're taking all of these measurements. You told me a funny story about this. Is that something that you can share on stage about?
Yeah, about the...
Yeah.
Sure. So in our initial beta test, we put out a call on Twitter, just basically to the random public saying, hey, would you like a free dress to try it out, right? We want your feedback. So we had about 15 people who got free dresses based on a registration through Twitter. And we got this one set of measurements. And when we looked at the measurements, we were like, well, that's kind of weird. And long story short, there aren't that many women out there, even though we do come in all shapes and sizes, there aren't that many women out there with 52-inch shoulders. So ultimately, we were like, oh, shit, that's a dude. And so... So I ended up having to email the guy and be like, hey, thank you so much for submitting your measurements for a custom-made AbbeyPost dress. We're thrilled about that. Just to clarify, we'd like to verify if this dress is indeed meant to be for a man's body, because if so, there are 1 or 2 extra measurements we'd really like to ask you for. And he was very gracious and submitted the measurements to us. His name is Barry. He lives in New Jersey. And he ordered a red dress, and he's thrilled with it. It fits him great, and he sent us pictures. So, rock on, Barry. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. But it's a great example of, again, we're really not here to judge. Like, if you want a dress, more power to you. We'll give it to you.
Well, I bring it up to say because I think it's hard to emphasize in the world of e-commerce where every piece of clothing is basically the same, and you can't tell until you get it home how much this customization matters, right? So from everyone from a very petite and, woman who would typically shop in the petites up to your gentleman with the 54-inch shoulders. Kind of works the same, right? Just stand in front of your webcam.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so glad you did, and you're an awesome salesperson, so thanks. That's awesome.
Hi, I think
Hi.
you misunderstood a little bit the intent of my question, which is the following. Not judging, but being realistic. Mm-hmm. And as you're realistic, yes, the situation is as it is. The medical data also suggests the reality of the risk involved. So without judging, which I agree with you, you could do the following. As a person is registering, you can ask them, are you in a weight loss program? Or try to gauge.
Why would I do that?
Because if I want to pay for a custom clothing, I want the guarantee that if I lose weight, I can return it to you and you can customize it for me. So the clothing it's an ongoing relationship. It's not just, just come by and buy more from me because I want to make money out of you. No, I'm in a relationship with you, and if you're the type of person who are losing weight and you know how much, if you look at fat versus muscle and the density and so on, if you lose just a little bit of weight, your body shrinks enormously. It's amazing because I underwent that process. And then you have these clothes that are full of space, empty space. So just gauging in the most subtle way whether the person is undergoing this process. Maybe if they have a health and fitness website, you can track their data, and they can very subtly understand what process they're undergoing. So they can say, okay, then I give you a guarantee. Every few months, send me back your clothes, and I will tailor them back to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. So it's certainly something I'll think about. Thanks.
Could you tell us a little bit about how your process works when you're working with people overseas, where the shipping is longer, where there's different postal services? How is that? What's your international customer base, and what are your plans for that?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for asking. So today we're launching U.S. only. Canada will be our next market that we open to for ease of shipping and for speed of shipping. I have 6 years of experience running an e-commerce company, and I understand the challenges of international shipping, which is exactly why we're not doing it at the beginning. It's a giant pain in the ass. So certainly international expansion is on our roadmap. We have already a relationship with a company called APC Postal Logistics that's helping us with that. As we lay the groundwork for international shipping, they're able to greatly expedite delivery to international destinations. And because you asked, and I'm glad you did, the UK, Canada, Australia, Germany, and increasingly a few parts of Asia, actually, are very fertile markets for us.
Can you talk a little bit about your technology in terms of delivering the product? I'm sorry if I missed this. Are you using any kind of 3D printing or automation to then take the measurements and manufacture the clothing?
So no on 3D printing today. What we are doing is algorithmic patterning, and that's proprietary technology that we've developed. So what we do is we take this bucket of data, these measurements, and we dump them into a CAD program, and we actually create a pattern for that individual consumer. So like, this is the Cynthia dress, it was made for me, right? And so now in our system, there is an A-line silhouette pattern block that is made to my measurements, and it's just sitting there in our system. So the next time that I purchase an A-line silhouette dress, we don't actually have to go through that whole pattern making process again in CAD. We already have it, and we just rocket it out to production. So did that answer your question about the algorithmic pattern creation?
Yeah. Any other questions? Give it up for Cynthia.
Actually,